Hello, everyone. My name is JT the Talking Head. You are the audience, and you are listening to episode 9 of the Masters of Matinee podcast, a collaborative show between content creators who all share a great love for cinema and a passion for physical media. Our guest today is the one and only Cinema Chris. We're going to be talking about how Chris fell in love with movies, started collecting physical media, and how he got started on TikTok, as well as some turbulence and drama he faced at the beginning of his creative journey. The Masters of Matinee would like to remind you to please silence all cell phones and do enjoy the show. How's it going, everyone? I'm joined today with Cinema Chris, or Cinema Volt, whichever we prefer. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. How about you, man?
I can't complain. I mean, life's full of, strikes and gutters, peaks and valleys, but right now I'm considering it to be a strike because I got you on the show. We're going to have some fun. So, my friend, I got to ask you, it's the same thing I'm going to ask everybody the first time they ever come on the show. The last movie you watched is now your life. On a scale of 1 to 10, how screwed are you?
I am off the charts screwed, man. Last night, my wife and I watched Fall, and there is no way I would survive that situation.
I haven't seen that yet. Is it pretty thrilling? I've heard really good things about it.
I actually really liked it, and my wife's terrified of heights, so it freaked her out. She said she was sitting on the edge of her seat the whole time.
Who's it got in it?
It's got Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Mason Gooding from the two new Scream movies.
Ooh,
I'm not sure who the two main girls were played by. I've never seen him in anything before.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan sells it for me right there. I love that
Yeah,
guy. He's a
when we
badass, man.
For sure. We turned it on and I saw him like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good movie."
Oh yeah. I want him to play Thomas Wayne in Batman. The Flashpoint Batman. Are you a superhero fan?
Honestly, not super into it. There's a couple here and there that I like, but it's not something that I watch too often.
You might dig the like Flashpoint Batman. They're kind of setting that story up with the Flash movie right now, and it's where like Barry Allen as the Flash goes into pretty much goes into alternate timelines and stuff. There's a timeline that in the alley when Thomas and Martha Wayne died and got mugged. Instead of Thomas, it was Bruce Wayne and Martha Wayne that died. The muggers shot them, and Thomas lived, and Thomas became Batman. And it's brutal, dude. Like he's a Batman that's out for like not justice and shit. He's not out to protect people. He's just out to. He's on a bloodlust, man. He's a freaking killer, dude. He actually murders people.
That actually does sound really interesting. That's something I probably would like.
Yeah. So we have gotten to know quite a bit about you. Well, not even quite a bit about you, but more about your collection and stuff. We know that you really dig like grindhouse movies and horror movies and stuff like that. Who would you say? I personally know the answer to this, but who would you say is your favorite like director? I'm gonna set this up even more for you. Who is your favorite directors that are maybe perhaps a set of sisters that make horror movies?
Yeah, that would definitely be Jen and Sylvia Soska. I love all of the stuff they make.
I think I have only seen American Mary from them, but I loved it. It was like one of the coolest body horror movies I've ever seen in my life.
For sure, that's definitely their best movie, but man, you gotta check out some of their other stuff. It's all worth the watch. Some of it's a little cheesier than others, but they're all good.
So, did you ever see that show they did, Elevator? I think it was called Elevator.
Yes, and I'm so disappointed that I can't find anywhere to watch it now.
Wasn't it on Netflix for a while? I think that's where I watched it.
It was on there for a little while, but then they took it off and now it's not on anything and you can't buy it and it kinda sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. I mean, it was a for anybody who doesn't know what it was kinda like one of those, like, haunted house type game shows, like Fear Factory, but maybe a little more it was more less toward the gross stuff and more toward the, like, I'm getting chased by a chainsaw maniac type thing, like, honestly, something that would be more considered like an extreme haunted house. Like it's not like your cheesy your neighbor's backyard cheesy haunted house that they set up every year at Halloween. Like it's more of a professional level type haunted house that they send people through, and it's I would be terrified going through that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like they dropped you into Friday the 13th.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good explanation of Elevator. I mean, I haven't seen that show in forever. I remember I watched like every episode when it was on Netflix, and I loved that show, man. So, what would you say other than American Mary? What are like the three essential Soska Sister films that if you were trying to get somebody into the Soska Sisters, obviously I think everybody would say American Mary, but other than American Mary, what are those three movies that you would recommend?
You definitely gotta watch their first one, which is Dead Hooker in a Trunk. That's the cheesiest one because they had a really low budget for it, but it kinda shows you the evolution of their style of movie making. And then I would also go for Rabid and See No Evil 2.
I did not realize they made See No Evil too.
Yeah.
I love the first one. I know that it gets a bad rap, but I love the first one, and I'm a big wrestling fan. So Kane, the wrestler, was in the first one. He was the killer.
Yep.
What was his name? Jacob something in the first movie. Um,
He's in the second one too.
oh, is he? I don't
Yeah.
see. I think I might have seen the second one, but seen it like a really really long time ago. Probably when it first came out. That was like one that was like direct to video, right? Or direct to DVD.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a direct to DVD sequel, but it was definitely good. They had Catherine Isabel in it, who's an American Mary, and they brought Kane back for it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to go and try to find. Are these available on Blu-ray now or just DVD?
It's on Blu-ray too, yeah.
I'll have to go and try to hunt down a Blu-ray copy of both of the See No Evil movies. Those were the first one I remember was super brutal. I actually had a funny story about that one. So my it came out when I was a kid, so my mom would never let me watch it, but my neighbor knew how to sail the seven seas to get movies. So he made me a burned copy of that movie, and I still actually have that somewhere. I believe it might have got thrown away, but I had that for years, and it was just one of those things where like I watched it as a kid, but I never bothered to go ahead and rebuy it, which is kind of shameful for a physical media collector nowadays, but I never bothered to go ahead and rebuy it. So now I feel like I owe it. I owe it to WWE films to,
Yep,
to
definitely.
to repay my debt of pirating. Don't pirate, kids. We don't unless of course it's a a streaming show that they're never gonna freaking release, or one that they removed for a tax write off.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Warner Brothers Discovery. But yeah, that's really interesting, man. And you have quite a like signed collection from the Soska Sisters, right?
Yeah, I've got, 4 things. I've got a American Mary signed copy, a Dead Hooker in a Trunk signed copy, a bone saw signed by them, and then a bumper sticker for Dead Hooker in a Trunk signed by them.
Have you ever got to like meet them like at a convention or anything?
Unfortunately, no, because where I live, there's nothing anywhere near me that does that.
Oh man, like I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, um, the biggest convention that I believe comes around me is like in my state's capital, like 2 hours away. I think the biggest like horror icon that they have that has ever come there is Tyler Mane, who played Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Um,
Okay, yeah.
However, I did get to sort of meet Bill Moseley. Um, we have this show every summer called Metal in the Mountains. That's out in like this guy owns this out in the middle of a state park. He owns this like venue that he hosts live music at all the time. And I've seen like Insane Clown Posse there, and I've seen a bunch of other people there. And he hosts this thing called Metal in the Mountains. And before that, he did a show for the band Mushroom Head. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mushroom Head, but they're this really awesome metal band that are like they kind of look like Slipknot, but they're not as heavy as Slipknot. They're like all masked and shit. And this show was half music festival with Mushroomhead as the headliner, and then half horror convention. So he had what's his name from Hills Have Eyes, the disfigured looking man from Hills Have Eyes, and he was also in Devil's Rejects. He was the chicken fucker in Devil's
Oh,
Rejects.
yeah, I know who
Um,
you're talking about.
yeah, he was there, and Bill Moseley was there, and I was at work through most of the thing, and I came after the show to hit up the Mushroomhead show because I love Mushroomhead. And Bill Moseley had already closed his table, and I assumed he went home, but it turns out Bill Moseley is a huge metalhead, and so I'm just sitting there, and I look over to my left, and there's fucking Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Otis fucking Firefly from Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses sitting there headbanging along with Mushroomhead with me. I'm like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Holy shit.
That is so cool.
I still have yet to top that with any kind of like celebrity experience. Like I've met the comic book men from, Kevin Smith's friends from the AMC show Comic Book Men. I've been to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash and the Quick Stop where Clerks was filmed and stuff like that. I still don't think that stuff tops headbanging to Mushroomhead with Bill Moseley. That's the most like
Yeah,
metal freaking thing I've ever done in my life.
that's pretty awesome.
So Chris, we have in common this love for movies and especially horror films, but also physical media. So we're going to cover the physical media aspect and everything as well today, but I want to start with movies in general. I want to know, like, not necessarily horror. We can get into the horror here in a minute, but I want to know movies in general. What like sparked your interest and your love for watching film and your appreciation of cinema?
Honestly, it was mostly my mom. She was huge into movies, still is huge into movies, and we had, like, a giant rack of movies at our house, and I would always go through and pick what I wanted to watch, and she would pick things that I'd never seen to show me, and she's the one who showed me Death Proof and got me obsessed with that, and, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have my physical media collection.
So is that like um so the answer that I've always gotten when I ask this question of why do you collect physical media is it like the common answer is because I'm old and I grew up before streaming. um
Honestly, yeah.
like that's like I've got that answer from every one of the other masters and as far back as my father. Like my father collects is a big physical media collector from movies to books to uh CDs and everything. So it's literally I grew up before streaming. It's what I know. It's what I'm sticking with. So seeing the physical media industry, what do you think of the shift from it to being a consumer product to a collector's market?
I'm honestly kinda scared of that because I feel like if it shifts too much, they're gonna just kinda be like, "Well, you guys are kinda screwed, and we're just gonna go to all streaming because we don't make enough profit off of the physical items."
Well, I see it as more of a positive for the people who want to own the physical stuff in a way. I don't think that I think that eventually I see a future where there's going to be like new released movies might not get full physical releases. Like look at Barbarian from Disney. It's like
Yeah.
that's probably at this point not going to get a physical release, even though they even brought the director in for a commentary, an audio commentary, and told him like this is going to go on the DVD and Blu-ray, and he announced that. And then I guess I don't know if they scrapped it or it's super delayed or what, but that sucks because Barbarian was like super successful, and they're not going to bring it to
Yeah.
physical. Like wow.
That's what I mean when I say I'm kinda worried that they're just gonna be like, "Well, screw you guys," because like, the big companies that don't need to make the money off of it are just they just don't care.
Right. But then on the other side of that though, I see like certain like Universal, for example. Universal is starting to do what Lionsgate has been doing. Now, I've always like viewed Lionsgate as the bridge between your big studios and your boutique labels, because Lionsgate are a bigger studio, but they operate and do physical releases like a boutique label would do. They do their steel books and their box sets and stuff very similar, and Universal, I've noticed, has started doing that. So like Universal released this really cool box set of To Kill a Mockingbird that came with like a film cell and everything like that. And then they're releasing one for the, like, it's a limited edition one for the Big Lebowski, that's coming out at the end of this month, or I think it comes out like August 1st. And it's going to be on 4K, and it's got like a certificate of authenticity, and like they're starting to realize that the collectors are who they're going to be able to sell to, so they're starting to tailor their products to that. But what, while that's all fine and dandy, because they're doing that with old films, and that's great, and I don't want them to stop doing that with old films, it scares me that we might not get stuff like that for new films and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I agree with that, and especially with Lionsgate too. They've been releasing amazing steelbooks, but a lot of them are for older films as well.
Yeah, but to be fair too, some of them are for newer films, like Clerks 3.
Yeah.
They released that, and that's an awesome steelbook, and that came out the day that Clerks 3 hit physical media.
Yeah, they're definitely doing good at like mixing new films with old films with their releases, and I'm just hoping that other studios kind of follow suit and give us really cool collector's editions of new stuff that comes out.
Right, right. And I'm kind of sick of this whole thing where studios are like not releasing 4Ks. Do you collect 4K at all?
Kind of. If it's a steelbook that I really like and it's in 4K, I'll buy it in 4K. Same goes for if I find something on a good deal, I'll get it in 4K. But I still buy DVDs. So I- I'm not. I love how 4K looks, but for me, it's not a deal breaker of whether or not I'll buy it.
I When I go to buy a movie, I have to buy it in the highest quality, except for situations like I will still buy DVD actively from thrift stores, and I still actively collect VHS tapes. So I will, like, for example, I think I might have said this on an episode before. Paramount Presents put out, and that's another one of those big studios that's starting to go more boutique with their Paramount Presents line. They put out Red Eye on 4K through the Paramount Presents, and I've never seen that movie, but I found it at a thrift store for $1. And I was like, all right, it was on DVD. I was like, all right, bet. So I bought the DVD, and I was like, if I watch this DVD and I dig the movie, I might get the Paramount Presents 4K. I haven't watched it yet, but and that was months ago.
It's a good movie. You'll like it.
Do you have that issue where you will just like, go to a store or something and find a bunch of cheap deals and purchase something, and then it sits on the shelf for months or even years sometimes without you even touching it?
There is probably over 100 movies in my collection that I've never even considered watching. Not because I don't want to watch them; they just don't come to the front of my thoughts when I'm like, okay, what am I going to watch tonight? I haven't seen at least 100 movies in my collection.
Man, that's I don't think I'm quite at that level of, like, I think I've probably seen maybe 90% of the films in my collection. Um, a lot of the ones that I haven't seen are like ones that I picked up through Criterion or like Arrow or something, that are like in a foreign language, because I have to be in a specific mood to watch a foreign film. So like I just but then again, there are some movies that are like from a thrift store that I'm like, I can't pass up paying 50 cents for this DVD. Like, it
Yeah.
looks interesting enough to pay 2 quarters for.
In my defense, if I haven't seen 100 movies in my collection, I've still seen over 90%.
So, would you say in that case, just judging from statistics alone, do you think that you probably have over 1,000 in your collection?
On my low count, I have 1,300.
Okay. Is that all mixed together, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K?
Yes, that's everything.
Yeah, I think that's probably around what I have, but that's including VHS as well. So I've got a little bit
Okay.
less of the disc media than you do, likely. I've got Have you ever seen those pre-packed shelves? Those the quad ones. A lot of us on TikTok have that. It's like the one that's like a shelf, then it goes up, and it goes down.
Yeah, that's what all my horror movies are on.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got one of those, and it's like filled to the brim. And then I've got another small bookcase that's filled with them as well.
Okay.
So probably optical media around 1,000, and then I probably got like 200 VHS tapes.
I only have one VHS.
What is it?
Titanic.
Oh man, you telling me you're not going to donate that to Titanic fan 97?
I have 2 sitting here to send out to him, actually.
Oh, do it. Do it. Get that shout out, sir. Get that shout out. He'll put you in the book of Jack. He'll protect it. Dude, I love that guy. He was one of the first like physical media like collectors that I followed on TikTok. And I followed him, and I always like to poke fun at him, and I'm saying like, "Hey, this guy's dangerous. Why is he dangerous? Because he's creating artificial scarcity for Titanic on VHS. In 10 years, he's going to own them all. He's going to own all billion copies of that movie. And when somebody out here wants to buy one, he'll be like, I'll sell you one for $10,000. And he's going to be, that's his retirement fund right there. You create artificial scarcity. There's even somebody on TikTok, his name is Meat Hook, and he collects only copies of the movie Three on a Meat Hook. And he's got like 1,000 of the fuckers. And that movie was already scarce anyway, but it wasn't popular. But he just bought so many to prove the point that you can create artificial scarcity. And he told me, he said, when I first started collecting these, you could get them on eBay for like $5. And now the price of one on eBay is like $80. Like, just because he's collected them so much. He's got probably most of the physical copies of that movie that were ever printed, and he
That's
owns the
crazy.
market for it. And I'm like, that's so brilliant. That's like Dr. Doofenshmirtz level of freaking brilliance right there. I'm like,
It totally is.
I'm like, Perry the Platypus is going to come and ruin your day, man. Be careful. Oh
Oh, that's
man.
awesome.
But so like, do you have like a count of like how many like the differentiation between Blu-ray and DVD? Like, how many Blu-ray would you say you have?
Probably like 500 Blu-ray and the rest would be DVD with a couple 4Ks scattered in.
So what is it about DVD that makes you like still actively collecting DVD? Is it just the price factor, or just the price
Yeah, they're
factor?
just cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I want to ask that to Mo from Monique's Movie Madness, and also do you know DVD Dallas?
Mhm.
So I want to ask that to him because they both, like, Mo collects. A shout out to her. She just hit 1,000 followers recently, so that's probably she's probably almost to 2,000 by the time this episode comes out, because we're sitting at probably this sitting in the can for over a month before it comes out. But uh, shout out to her regardless. But she collects a lot of DVD, I've noticed, and then Dallas collects like exclusively DVD. So I want to get both of them on this show to talk about that. If it's just the price factor, or I know some people that are just like, I just want the damn movie. I don't care what it looks like, as long as I can tell what's going on the screen. Like, I'm fine with that, you know? And there's something to be said about that. That's respectable. It's not how I view it, how I want to view my films, but I mean, it's respectable.
Yeah, see, I definitely can tell that 4K looks way better than DVD, but when I go to the store and the DVD's $10 and the 4K's 30, I can get 3 DVDs instead of 1 4K.
That's true. I watched a DVD the other night. I watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory on DVD. And
Oh, man.
I watched it on my 4K player on my PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 5 will upres DVDs to at the bare minimum 1080p, but it looks really nice. And I was like sitting there looking at this DVD of Willy Wonka, and I'm like, man, this looks crisp as shit. Like, it looks good for a DVD. It was almost Blu-ray quality. And it's kind of like amazing what modern technology with these modern 4K players and TVs and stuff can do. And I'm just like, I wonder what would happen if I put this in like an actual dedicated like Panasonic UB 9000 4K player. If it would upres it to to nearly 4K for me. I'm like, I would never have to buy a freaking 4K disc again.
I've noticed that too watching DVDs on my PS4. I'm like, "This looks better than the last time I watched it."
Is that is that what you watch? What do you watch 4Ks on, or do you even have like an actual 4K player?
No, I just watch them on my PS5.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I there's a lot of ups and downs to watching on a PS5. I think Jeff from Films at Home. Do you watch him on YouTube at all? He's a
Yeah.
really cool YouTuber. He did a really good video kind of breaking down the peaks and valleys of watching 4K on a gaming console. And of course, like the biggest plus is that it's super like consumerist. It's you get all of this stuff in one: a 4K player, a gaming console. It's you get and then it's a streaming machine as well if you want to watch your Netflix or your HBO or whatever. But then he kind of broke down like some of the downsides, and it's like no Dolby Vision. Like, have you found that to be like a frustration at all? Because I tell you, some of the 4K discs that I watch, especially the ones that I get and I watch to review on my YouTube channel, are like not having Dolby Vision is starting to become a real pain in the ass.
I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I don't notice enough to notice that I don't have it. Um, with the small amount of 4Ks that I have, it's not something that's really a main thing that I watch for because half the time my wife will grab the movie and I don't know if she grabbed a 4K or a Blu-ray or a DVD until like we're watching it.
I wish I could live in blissful ignorance of like that.
I try because then it makes it easier for me to buy DVDs.
So like whenever I am 100% the kind of guy though that if something is streaming, even if it's like streaming in 4K and I only own it on DVD, I will literally tell my wife, "No, grab the DVD. We're gonna watch it physically."
I'm
Like
the same way.
I will 100% watch something on DVD over streaming it any day of the week.
I'll ask my wife to pick a movie and she'll pull out her phone and I'm like, "We have a movie room with like 1,300 DVDs in the other room. Go look for one."
It's like you're scrolling your phone, bitch. We got a library.
Exactly, and I'm like, "You haven't seen over half of the movies we have. We need to fix that."
That's how that's how my wife is, man. It's like I will literally send her over there. I'm like, she's like, "What do you want to watch?" I'm like, "I don't know. What do you want to watch?" We go the whole SpongeBob route because I'm like, you can stand at that shelf for 5 minutes and maybe find something, or we can scroll Netflix and Paramount Plus and Stars and HBO and Peacock and Showtime for an hour trying to find something. It's like it's starting to become a curse with streaming because it's like all of these movies at your fingertips. You can't figure out what the hell to watch.
Oh, for sure. It just makes it harder to pick one thing.
Yeah. Like I use streaming mostly for television shows because I don't want to collect television shows. Like I have a few, but they take up so much room. And then the few that like I know that I would like to keep forever because if they ever left streaming and I can't watch them, I would be heartbroken. Like How I Met Your Mother, for example. I own How I Met Your Mother, and I own the David Tennant run of Doctor Who and Game of Thrones. It's like in Breaking Bad, and like that's it. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, if there's ever a time where I can't stream like those shows that are like my favorite shows, I'm gonna be a really sad camper. But other than that, man, like streaming is perfect for television. And it's also perfect
Yeah.
to watch a movie that like I don't know if I'm gonna dig. But I can watch it on there, and then if I dig it, then I'll buy it physically and I'll never watch it on streaming again.
Yeah, exactly. I like streaming shows mainly because if you're gonna binge it, you don't have to get up and change the disc and watch that intro every single time, whereas streaming, you can just skip the intro, go to the next episode, and it's much easier.
We have the full series of The Nanny on DVD, and it's one of my all-time favorite comfort shows. And I have a like 19-inch CRT TV hooked up with a VHS player and a DVD player hooked up to it. And so I like my wife and I have made this plan that all these shows that we love from the 90s we're actually going to buy physically and watch the DVDs on this little TV. And it's like we found that it's like such a great way. We'll silence our phones and it's such a great way to like turn off and disconnect from society and feel nostalgic and kind of transport ourselves back to the 90s and stuff or the early 2000s in a way. And it's like it's just a great feeling. Do you guys do anything like that, like anything similar to just kind of disconnect you from the modern world?
I wish I could get my wife to be off of her phone for an entire movie. That is a feat that you have mastered that I have yet to master.
Oh, I have not mastered it, I can tell you. I can tell you I am still a young grasshopper. I, because we will be watching something like I will be so excited, right? To get like a 4K or something in. Like and I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to watch this." And she's like, "Yeah, this looks really great." And then we'll be 30 minutes into the movie and I'll glance over at her and she's scrolling freaking Facebook and I'm like, God,
Yep.
get off your phone. Watch the movie. We paid $35, $40 for this boutique 4K Blu-ray. Watch the movie. Dang it. Look at look at the bit rate. It's so pretty. The HDR, it's the colors are exploding in your face. It's way better than stupid cat memes on Facebook. Damn.
My wife has really bad ADHD, so I thought getting those lights for behind my TV that kind of go with the show that's on would distract her a little better.
Did it work at all?
It worked at first, and then she just ignores it now.
See, my wife is the same way. She's hardcore ADHD, so she can't. She has problems focusing on a movie, and like the biggest downside for that for me as a cinema fan is that when I'm trying to watch something with her, it's almost never anything foreign. Like I have a hard enough time getting in the mood myself to watch a foreign movie, and I love foreign cinema. It's just like I have to be alert enough to be able to pay attention to the screen and read subtitles at the same time.
Oh, I
And
feel that.
she can hardly ever stand to watch anything with subtitles with like a foreign movie like that. And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, bitch, you watch the entirety of Black Butler on Crunchyroll in Japanese. Like you can watch Seven Samurai for 3 hours. I'm sure you'll be able to get through it.
Surprisingly, my wife sits very well through foreign movies because she really likes the gory stuff like I do. So when I'm like, okay, let's watch one of these disturbing movies off of the foreign shelf, she's like, okay. She's totally down to read the whole movie.
I have tried to show my wife some of my foreign like gore filled movies or like some of the more like fucked up movies like Takashi Miike, like Ichi the Killer.
Mhm.
I really want to get Old Boy and show that to her, but she had like no interest at all in Ichi. Uh,
Really?
have you ever seen Thriller: A Cruel Picture?
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, that's a brutal grindhouse movie. That's like that and Lady Snowblood are the two movies that like Tarantino was like inspired by when he made Kill Bill. And
I'll have to check them out.
yeah, Thriller is really good. Make sure you watch the director's cut though, not the producer's cut, because there's three different cuts of it. There's the American cut, which has a lot less gratuitous violence in it. Then there's director's cut, which has all of the gratuitous violence in it. And then there's the producer's cut, which has all of that violence, and then they added in hardcore sex scenes because they thought it would sell better. And it's like that stuff's like the hardcore sex scenes aren't needed. Like it fully shows like insertion, like up close. It's like a porno.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is like 1970s grindhouse Euro trash because they in Europe they were like this will be dubbed a video nasty and banned and it'll sell well amongst you know tape traders and stuff and then it'll go when it went to America Americans were like we don't need all that shit we don't even need all this violence so they censored it and so it kind of failed in a way there, but like the director went and did a cut of it where he took out the hardcore scenes because they're not needed, and but still kept in the nasty violence of it, and it's a great movie to watch. So if you ever watch Thriller, watch the director's cut, not the producer's got to be careful with that one.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
definitely gonna have to track that down.
it's through Vinegar Syndrome.
Okay.
Uh, do you so as far as physical media collecting and stuff goes, what like obviously you collect DVD and Blu-ray and stuff. I can see the folks at home can't see this, but I can see behind Chris here. I can see a Criterion of The Princess Bride, which I have that same edition of Princess Bride through Criterion. I love that media book. Do you collect any other Criterions or any other boutique labels, anything like that?
Kind of. So, like, if I'm looking for something and a boutique label has it, I'll try to get it unless it's, out of print and ridiculously expensive, or I just don't have the extra cash to spend the extra $15 for the boutique label version. I only have 4 Criterions, and I know I'm gonna get, like, sacrilegious for that, I know. But the 4 that I
No,
have, the only one that was intentionally Criterion is The Princess Bride.
there is no judgment whatsoever to people who don't collect. Like here on Masters of Matinee, we like. All right, let me put it this way: Zed. If you listen to Zed's first episode, you'll know that Zed doesn't collect anything for boutique labels. His entire collection is built from Goodwill, other thrift stores, and eBay. Like he is I consider Zed to be kind of like a raccoon. He's scrounging through the Goodwills and getting everything he can. He's the kind of guy that will have like 3 copies of the same DVD, but just because they have different cover arts. That's how Zed has built his collection, and mad
Yeah.
respect to him for it because that's what makes him happy, you know. So if you don't collect, like if you don't actively collect Criterion, then I don't hold any judgment. It's not for everybody, and Criterion's like, to be honest, Criterion's catalog is not for everybody. They've only really started recently releasing like more mainstream movies that more people would find accessible, but for the most part their films are very artsy or indie or foreign, and that's not for everybody.
I like the foreign stuff, and 2 of my criterions are foreign movies, and the other one is a quote unquote artsy movie. So it's mainly their catalog as to why I don't really have a lot of Criterion movies, honestly.
What are the other 3 that you have other than Princess Bride?
Antichrist, Funny Games, and Solo.
Solo, that one's going for a lot of money. It's out of print now.
Yeah, I got it before it went out of print.
I'm actually, because I know that some Barnes and Noble still have copies of them. So I'm going to my Barnes and Noble here in about a week because I have to travel like an hour to get to mine. And I'm gonna see if they still happen to have a copy of it. If not, I'm not gonna be too disappointed in it because I know that there's a foreign release of it. I think through maybe like BFI or something like that released it. And I'm region free. I have a region free player and everything, so I can. It's not a huge deal for me. But I have been wanting to get that just because of the subject matter is very disturbing.
Very.
It's like one of those. It's like it's done in a more artsy and tasteful way, right? I've never seen it, but I've heard that it's done a little more tastefully for
Sort of.
as nasty as it is.
It definitely, if they wanted to make it nastier, they could have, so they were kinda tasteful in some aspects, but then there's scenes where you're like, "How did this even get released?"
Yeah, dude. Like I don't know, man. And I've heard Funny Games is pretty good too. Who's the director on Funny Games? Is it Paul Thomas Anderson?
I think so. Honestly, I've only seen it once, so I would have to go look at it to find out. But I need to get the American version of it as well because he did a shot for shot remake. I think 10 years after the original came out.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So you have
I,
the
I,
1997 version then, huh?
yeah, yep.
Michael Haneke or
Okay, yeah.
Michael, whatever his name is.
However you say it, yeah.
Yeah, I was way off. I don't know why I was thinking Paul Thomas Anderson.
Well, like I said, I wasn't sure either because I've only seen it once.
Ooh, the remake's got Naomi Watts in it. I love Naomi Watts, man.
Me too. That's why I want to get it.
Have you ever seen Tank Girl?
Yeah.
That's one of my physical media grails. Shout Factory had done a Blu-ray of Tank Girl and it's out of print now. And it's going for like $150 online.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Other than Criterion though, like do you collect any other boutique labels?
I have I think I have, like, 2 Vinegar Syndromes. I have quite a bit of Scream Factory and a decent amount of Arrow. I think Arrow is probably my favorite other than Scream Factory because Scream Factory has, like, the biggest catalog, but, I like the Arrow releases a lot.
I'm starting to get to the point where I can't collect Scream Factory anymore. They've pissed me off for the last time.
Yeah, for me, it's just if they put out something that I really want with some really cool cover art, I'll still buy it, but I don't seek it out anymore.
Yeah, as long as it's not egregiously priced or, you know, region locked
Yeah.
4K like they did People Under the Stairs, then maybe. But
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing too, is like I hate harping on them because like at the end of the day, like boutique labels like that are like what's gonna be the future of physical media, and they're what keeps physical media going. And so like I don't want to be like actively against any of these labels, but Shout Factory, Scream Factory. I guess now they've changed their name to Shout Studios. They've done some pretty like not consumer friendly practices for a while now, and it's like I don't understand how you can be so consumer unfriendly when other your competition, Criterion, Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, they are doing some of the most consumer friendly practices that you can think of.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate too considering, in a way, I would probably say Scream Factory is one of the biggest boutique labels,
They are. They're the most
like,
popular.
for sure.
S
Yeah.
Scream Factory is the bridge, between the hardcore boutique and the mainstream boutique because they can be found in Walmart and Target and big box stores, you know, they're everywhere. They're accessible. They're and it's really cool because 'cause they're making these movies that are, uh, that are like would be considered lost, you know, that would not ever nobody would have ever thought to bring them to the mainstream. They're bringing these movies to the mainstream. They're delivering them through WalMarts and stuff. Like I was digging in the $5 bin at my Walmart the other day, or the 7.50 bin at my Walmart. There was a DVD copy of Motel Hell, old Grindhouse '90s Grindhouse movie, cheap ass movie, on DVD, and I'm like, what reality is this where I'm finding this at a freaking Walmart, man? Like, it was kind of cool. I was like, this is
That
great.
is cool.
I actually thought
That
about
is
getting
awesome.
it for a giveaway, but I passed up on it. I'm kind of kicking myself for that now. But so I want to kind of move on a little bit. We've talked a little bit about your love for movies and everything, as well as the physical media aspect. But the reason that you and I are sitting across from each other right now, digitally, not actually sitting across from each other, um, is because there is this amazing community on TikTok that is dedicated, absolutely dedicated to physical media collecting. And it's become more than just that to me and to a lot of others. It is a group of people who are, it doesn't matter. I've found that it doesn't matter what this, like the follower count is. It doesn't matter how many views you get or likes you get. We're all kind of one under this one umbrella. We all kind of realize that what we collect and what we talk about is super niche. And so there's no like fame factor to it. And that to me has bred this awesome community. And Chris is a part of this community. He's starting to grow to be a fairly large part of this community. Um, I want to know, Chris, what got you started with TikTok? What and in particular with Film Talk?
Honestly, there was a YouTuber that I would watch all the time, and he would just kinda show all the stuff in his collection, and I thought that was super cool and super interesting, and I was like, "Alright, I don't have the techie abilities to make YouTube videos about it, but I could definitely make TikTok videos about it." So I jumped over there and started to see the other people in the community. I'm like, "Man, there's actually an audience for this. There's actually people that I could make friends with through here." So I just kinda went for it one day and haven't looked back since.
Who was the YouTuber? Shout him out.
He is Slash and Captain.
I don't think I've ever heard of him, but I'll go look up his content after we're done recording here. It's kind of similar to me. There was guys like Kenny from Mid Level Media and Jeff from Films at Home and Heath from Serial at Midnight that I was always watching on YouTube pretty much every day, like everything they watched, keeping up with all the new releases and seeing their opinions and stuff on these new boutique releases and stuff. And that got me like really more interested into the content creation side. And so when I went to TikTok and I found that there was this community for that stuff, I was like, because I've done YouTube for 15 years at this point, never really, and now I'm doing YouTube for physical media, but never anything for physical media before that. All started with TikTok, and it's taken off into my own YouTube channel and to this podcast and stuff. So it like our community that we have over there is something that is out of this world, man. Would you agree? Like it's just they're
Oh,
so tight knit.
for sure. Everybody is so friendly and they welcome you in. If you have one follower or 1,000 followers, doesn't matter. They all love the same things, so they all want to be, helpful and friendly, and it's just amazing over there.
Yeah, man. Like, um, that's why, and I do want to talk about this briefly because when we met because of a hater.
Yeah, we did. That is true.
Um, I am personally very protective of this community. And there's the reason for that is because of how close knit we all are and how we all have bonded over physical media in a way that we're all so dedicated to keeping it alive. And one day I'm scrolling. Now I've tailored my TikTok FYP to almost exclusively show me film talk because that's all I'm really there for is just for my community. And one day I'm scrolling and I see this little channel called Cinema Vault. And he's just he I noticed that his videos are starting out exactly how I started, just showing off a movie or a pickup haul, no vocal over it, no video of his face, just his hands showing a movie and music over it. And that's exactly how I started doing it. And I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." And I was like noticing the movies and stuff. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I got that," or that's on my list to get. This is awesome. So I gave him a like and I went to comment on him and tell him nice haul. And then there was this dude in the comment section and commented. What did he comment? He's just like,
Like nobody
"Mm,
cares, or I
yeah,
don't give
nobody
a shit, or something
cares."
like that.
Yeah, I think he said nobody cares. Nobody cares. Huh? Well, this man's was obviously not familiar with film talk.
No,
he
he wasn't prepared for the shitstorm he started.
so I see this video of Chris showing these movies off, and I'm super happy. And then I go see this comment, and I click on this comment, this commenter's profile. He's got a couple hundred followers, maybe, and he makes video game content. And then I go back to Chris's profile and I click on Chris's profile, and you didn't even have probably what 20 followers, 30 followers at the time.
Yeah, that was my first video, so it was very low.
So I see how small and how few videos Chris has and how small of a follower count he has. And that pissed me off more. That really frustrated me. So I'm like, I don't care if you don't care about physical media. A lot of people don't. I'm used to that. I understand that not everybody in the world is going to get why we still collect DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, all that. I understand that. But to go out of your way to go to somebody who just made their first, maybe second video on TikTok and has a very small following, and to say that to somebody, to me, I don't understand. I can't comprehend why people have to be assholes like that. I understand trolling, but to me that was not trolling. That was being it's cruel to me. It's cruel. So how we met is that I made a video about that, not intending anything from it. I try to be as positive as possible on my TikTok account. I don't like shedding a negative light on anything or anybody at all. That's why in that video I actually did not mention that person. Um, but I did air my grievances out about them. And that video kind of blew up.
Yeah, it did.
And Chris, overnight, I know for a fact that overnight you'd went from just a handful of followers to over 100 off of that video. How
Yeah, and on top of his comment, my video kinda took off to, like, 2,000 views on my first video because he was being a dick and people were defending it.
yeah. And I was getting a lot of people cuz like I in the actual video I recorded, I actually verbally said, "I am sorry dude, I can't remember what your name is. Um I hope the algorithm brings me back to your videos." But the thing is before I uploaded it, I put it in my drafts, and then I went back and went through my entire search history trying to find you. And so I tagged Chris in the video. And dude, I got a lot of hate in my comment sections about like, if you really cared that much, you would have tagged him and shouted him out. And I'm like, he is tagged, motherfucker. Go follow him. I'm like, tell me you didn't read the caption without telling me you didn't read the caption.
Exactly, exactly. People just don't take the 2 seconds to look down.
Yeah. So I want to know, and I have my own feelings behind this, obviously, but I want to know what it was like what did you feel like whenever somebody, you had just posted your first video, you don't have hardly any followers, you're just trying to you're taking that step to put yourself out there, and then one of the first comments on your first ever video is nobody cares. What does that feel like? I know what that
Well,
feels like. I want to know what you think that feels like.
considering I almost didn't post a video in the first place, that made me almost never post a video again until I saw the support that the community had. Had it not been for your comment to defend me and the video you made to defend me and the other people who jumped on him in the comments to the point where he ended up deleting his comment because every time he had some backlash to say, someone else would just go right after him again. If it hadn't been for all of that, I would have made one video on TikTok and deleted my account.
I want to give an extra shout out to my friend Charles Broom 84, um because he saw my video and went to your account, and every time that dude commented, I know for a fact that Charlie rebutted him every time.
That he did. That he did. I noticed that as well.
And he had some pretty good zingers against him too. Um so much so to where this dude actually went to Charlie's profile and started commenting and harassing Charlie. And so that pissed me off even more. So I went over to Charlie's profile and we had a full fucking flame war in Charlie's
Damn, I did
comment
not
section.
know.
um,
Oh, man.
dude, this guy like, all right, so Charlie's got his profile picture on TikTok is him and Danielle Harris from Halloween 4 and 5. And this dude called Charlie a pedophile for having a picture of him with a younger girl and shit. And I'm like, okay, you really don't know who the fuck you're looking at here. Like, that's a horror legend right there, man. Everybody would want to get their picture with Danielle Harris. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, oh my gosh, wow. He needs to study up a little bit before he attacks people next time, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't even know if that guy's account is still around or what. But
No clue.
I know that he fucked up that day. And you told me I haven't gone back to that video in months now, but you told me he deleted his comment eventually, right?
Yeah, everything that he posted is deleted.
That's wonderful news, everyone.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I want to say I don't advise or support bullying and harassment of anybody. It wasn't my intent to create a whole cavalry of people to go and do that. I didn't think that that video would get more than 100 views, maybe, because, and I was literally just airing my frustrations because it felt like somebody was attacking my community, and our community is physical media collectors are rare these days. It's like when you find one, you want them to make sure that you want to make sure that they know that they're welcome in your community. And so that's the biggest reason why I did that video, is because like I was frustrated. I wanted to air my frustration, and I tagged Chris in it because I wanted him to know that there was at least one person out there who was there, that who was going to defend him in that case, and who actually did want to see and cared about what his content was going to be, and cared about physical media, and wanted to see him post more and stuff like that. um when you saw the reaction from Film Talk, and saw all these accounts and stuff go and follow you and uh defend you in both my comment section and yours, what was that feeling like? I mean, because you had just said that you were like, when that guy said that, you were like about to delete your TikTok, and then all of a sudden you get this flood of probably a few hundred people all of a sudden marching in your name. Like, what what does that feel like?
It was awesome. I have never been part of a community that was actually that kinda supportive and was there for you no matter what, and even though I just joined that community, everybody was like, "Oh, hell no, this ain't happening, like, we aren't gonna stand up for this," and between you and Charles and everybody who just jumped down that guy's throat and followed me because of it and helped me gain now I just hit over 1,000 followers, did my 1,000 follower giveaway. Speaking of, Monique won that, so again, shout out to Monique.
Very
Um,
nice. I just won one from Monique, actually.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think she won 3 the week that she won mine.
Dude, I've won 3 this week, or these past 2
That's
weeks. I won
insane.
I won one from that Canon guy, and then I won Monique's 1,000 follower, and then I won Jesse's, I think it was his 1,000 follower as well, when on his new account. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
I need to go play the lottery. I've never won anything in my life. It's like I need to go play the fucking lottery, and then, because I'll probably never win anything again.
Yep, I feel that. But yeah, if it wasn't for the support of the community, man, it was crazy. I couldn't believe how many people were actually a part of that community who didn't wanna put up with that kind of bullshit.
What does your wife think about this? Because you had mentioned before to me that I don't remember if you said it on the actual show here, or it was before we were talking on, like, on air, um, that she wanted to be like a Twitch streamer and stuff. So what does she feel about her husband suddenly becoming mildly TikTok famous?
She had done the Twitch thing for a while, and she got to affiliate, and we just didn't really have time to do it anymore, and she likes that I'm doing TikTok because she likes that I don't always bug her about movies now. She's I think that's her favorite thing is that I have an outlet to talk about my movies where I don't have to just constantly berate her with movie talk.
um, did you like discuss like the fact that, like, when that guy said that shit, did you go to her and be like, "All right, well, I tried it. I'm never fucking doing it again. I'm deleting this. I'm deleting this shit."
Yeah, pretty much. That was almost our entire conversation was, all right, I'm not doing this TikTok thing anymore. And then we saw your video and I'm like, shit, maybe I should stay on TikTok.
Well, I'm glad you stayed, my friend, because your growth, like seeing your growth. Because I remember one day I was just scrolling and I saw one of your videos, and then out of the fucking blue, out of the blue, face reveal, and you're talking. It's like one day you went from just showing off like movies with music over it, and then you started speaking. And I'm like, oh, that's a big step. I remember when I was at that step, when I started speaking over my videos. That was a hard thing to do. And then boom, you started showing your face. And I'm like, okay, he's getting there. He's around for the long haul now. He's sticking around here, because he's showing his face on the internet and stuff, and that takes a lot of guts to do that. It takes a lot to put yourself out there like that. So what kind of sparked that growth in you to be like, okay, well, if I'm going to stick around, I'm going to make this content better.
That's kind of exactly what it was. I kind of figured it feels more personal when you can actually see the creator's face and the video that I made that face reveal on, I was talking about my favorite movies of all time. So I was like, all right, if there's ever time to do it, it's now.
Did you intentionally like set out to make that like a face reveal that just kind of dropped that, or did you was it more like a just you didn't even think about it? You were like, I'm just gonna be on camera this time.
Yeah, kind of. I just went for it and I was just like, and then you commented, "Was that a face reveal?" I'm like, "Huh, shit, I guess it was."
Yeah. That was awesome, man. I love seeing the growth of a lot of the people in our community, and seeing everybody starting to come together more, but I also love seeing everybody individually grow their content more. Um, you, Monique, DVD Dallas, you've all grown so much since like when I first originally befriended you all months ago at this point. That it's really interesting to see the full growth of a content creator. I love watching that. Um, and I gotta say, buddy, I'm not your fucking father, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're here making something special and you're getting your voice out here because it's something that I've always said, man. Uh, People in our community, our voices deserve to be heard. You know, and that's like one of the things that I'm doing with this podcast is I want to give yet another platform to our community members for their voices to be heard as well. So I'm very glad that you stuck around. I'm very glad that you're here today talking to me on this show and letting your voice be heard because it's an interesting one, man. You got some interesting taste in movies. I really dig it. I'm happy that you're here.
I really appreciate you asking me to come on this and supporting me when I first started out on TikTok, man. Like it's so cool to have a community that you can talk about your favorite things with.
Oh yeah, I've always akin it to show and tell. My dad asked
Yeah.
me one time. He was like, "I just don't get it why people do these unboxings and stuff online." And he's like, "And I'm glad that you're finding an audience doing it, but I just don't understand it." I'm like, "Dad, you remember in elementary school show and tell?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Remember that feeling, that really fun feeling that it was to tell a whole bunch of people about something you really dug?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I found a way in my fucking late 20s to recreate that feeling." And he's like, and it just, I saw it click for him. He was like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm like, that's the reason I feel like a lot of people do it, and it's like we all just freaking miss elementary school and miss show and tell.
That's a really great way to describe it. And honestly, it's kind of funny. None of my family knows that I do TikTok or anything. I just I never told. My wife's the only one who knows. None of our friends know, you know.
I'm the opposite. I won't shut the fuck up about it.
See, I don't shut up about it to my wife,
Mm.
but I don't know. I fear the I know they won't, but I fear the judgment from it because they're like, "You're on TikTok, like what the fuck?" type of thing, you know what I mean?
That was something that I did deal with when I first like told my friends and stuff about it. I got flamed a little bit for that, and I'm just like, but then when they saw like what I was doing, they were like, oh, okay, you're not on there doing goofy ass dances and showing your titties. You're you're doing something that's actually intelligent.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, like TikTok is one of those platforms that I think it got a really bad rap when it first started hitting the mainstream, and you know, stupid Tide Pod challenge and all these stupid, Darwinism awards given out on that platform. But I think since it's started to be a much better platform for short form content that can be anything. It can be stupid dances and girls showing off their titties, or it can be film talk, or it can be political or religious, or it can be whatever, And I think that's honestly as much of a curse as that can be. It can also be a really great tool for connection because, and I've said this before, and I truly believe this. I'm not going to dox where Chris lives, but he lives very far away from me. There is no way on earth that he and I should be sitting here talking right now. It's miraculous that we are. We shouldn't know each other. I shouldn't know that this person exists, but I do because of TikTok. And it's kind of crazy uh that we have developed these online communities, and our community in particular, I love how close knit we are. I feel like we are the most close knit community on the internet sometimes, just because there is nobody in our community that is like that starts negative shit ever. I don't see it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, any other community on TikTok, you can see hates in the comments, and nobody's defending the hate comments, and there's a ridiculous amount of them. But over here, none of us stand up for that. And since I became part of the community, now when I see it, I jump down people's throats too.
Isn't that like a really funny thing though? Because it's like film in general is such an opinionated sphere. And it's like we all hold our own very deep and very strong opinions on movies and directors and actors and stuff like that. But it's like I don't know what it is about us that we've cracked the code of civility, that in that
Hmm.
we have learned how to be respectful and civil with one another. And I mean, there's obviously every community is going to have its bad apples. Like, I mean, I've seen people trying to start shit, even if it doesn't intentionally seem like it's starting shit, like they're being like pig-headed, I'll say, in the comments about stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's mostly classy communication. Like, I think that's kind of crazy.
I agree. I mean, you can have so many different opinions about movies, yet all of us can be civil with each other. If somebody hates a movie that we love, or we love
Mhm.
a movie, and someone in the comments is like, "Oh, I don't really like that movie." Oh, well, that's your opinion, man. If you don't like it, that's totally fine.
Right. Yeah, and it's like I don't know. I don't know about you, man, but I feel like I don't ever need to defend my taste in movies to anybody. Like,
Oh yeah, I agree.
I know that there are movies that I like that a lot of people are not gonna dig. I understand that going into it. So I feel like I know that there's a lot of movies that other people like that I'm not gonna dig. So I just go into it with a mindset of like, hey, we're not always gonna agree, but we can always agree to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are people who are sitting in my comments like, "Why do you have 14 copies of the Grindhouse double feature?" Well, because I want to.
Is that your biggest double dip?
Yeah,
I don't have
I
anything that
counted.
I don't have anything that comes close to that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, that one, it's my most by 4, and the next most would be Harry Potter.
Oh, very nice. And that's funny too because I love Tarantino, but I don't even own the Grindhouse double feature. I don't own Death Proof at all.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I need to get me a copy of Death Proof. I own Planet Terror on DVD, but I need to get me a copy of Death Proof. I liked that movie a lot too. Kurt Russell was great in Death Proof.
Oh, yeah, he definitely was. He plays a bad guy so well.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's one of those great actors that he plays a bad guy great. He plays a good guy great. He's one of my favorite like '80s action heroes, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's good in everything he's in.
What's what do you think is next for you on the old TikTok? Are
Um,
you gonna try to keep the content the same way? You got any ideas to keep progressing and inventing yourself and
I'm kind of thinking about starting to do, like, little reviews of movies, more older movies than newer movies, because a lot of people only review the newer stuff. Um, and not even talking like releases of older movies. I'm talking just like pick a random movie. I know there's one guy on here who goes picks a random movie off the shelf, does like a 60-second review of it. And I think that's awesome. And I think that'd be a lot of fun to do.
are you on Letterboxd?
I am, but I don't use it enough. I need to start using it better.
You should, man. It's Letterboxd has become a really great tool for me. A lot of members of our community are on Letterboxd. Which go ahead and shout it out. What's your Letterboxd?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look real quick. I believe it's the same as my TikTok name, but give me one moment and I will tell you. It is the same as my TikTok, it's just Cinema Vault.
Just Cinema Vault. I'm gonna go follow Chris right now.
I've been kinda tossing around the idea of adding YouTube to the whole TikTok thing.
All right, guys. As it stands right now, Chris has one follower, and that's me. So y'all go follow him. I'm following Cinema Chris on TikTok, or you, or on Letterboxd, or you. You better be after
I
this
appreciate
episode.
it.
Everybody listening out there, all 20 of you listening out there, better be following Chris on TikTok or on a Letterboxd and TikTok too. If you're not following Chris on TikTok, what are you doing here?
Hey, I promise that I will start being better about adding my movies that I watch to Letterboxd.
Just got Teo the Terminurtle on a Letterboxd, and I don't know if he's actually even done any reviews on it yet. I don't know. But I told him, I was like, because Drew and Zed have had Letterboxd for years, and I just got one a few months ago, and I told Teo, I was like, dude, you got to do it. He's like, why? And I'm like, because be good for the podcast. He's like, fine. So all the Masters of Matinee are on Letterboxd, even though I don't think Terminurtle hardly ever post anything on there. But
I don't even remember what the last movie I reviewed on there was.
Harry Potter, no, Joyride.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Joyride, Princess Bride, Big Fat Liar, and Pink Flamingos. Hey, Pink Flamingos, I hear that's a pretty good movie. That's a John Waters movie, right?
Yeah, it is. It was interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know that's got a Criterion copy that I've had on my list to get for a while. But hey, man, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This is a great conversation. I'm glad that you're still on TikTok. I'm glad you're here talking to me. This has been an absolute blast, and I hope you'll come back on the show soon and talk to us.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having me on.
Go ahead and shout out all of your socials and stuff, and for your information, I think that you should go ahead and start doing YouTube as well.
I'll think about it. I don't have the techie capabilities, so
But yeah, man, go ahead and shout out your TikTok, your Instagram, all that stuff, everything that you want people to follow you on.
yeah, my TikTok is Cinema Vault and my Instagram is Cinema Vault 66.
Hey, you heard it here first, folks. Cinema Chris. He's a great talent, a wonderful man, and a great physical media collector, and an awesome part of our community that we are all very happy and lucky to have him to be a part of. Chris, once more, thank you so much for coming on today. And yeah, everybody, have a great week. Boy, that was a fun episode. I am so incredibly thankful and grateful that I got to have a chance to sit down and have this great conversation with Chris. I'd like to thank Chris for coming on the show and also let you, the audience, know that we here at Masters of Matinee are starting to bring more people from the community on the show as guests. So drop a comment and let us know which creators from TikTok or YouTube you want to hear from. We'd also like to thank everyone who's been listening along and would like to remind you to go ahead and follow Masters of Matinee on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Special thanks to this week's guest, Cinema Chris, who can be found on TikTok at Cinema Vault. Don't forget that all four Masters are now on Letterboxd. Come see what kind of movies we've been watching, and be sure to leave a comment and let us know that you listen to the show. Their links can be found in the description. Remember to also follow me on TikTok and YouTube at JT the Talking Head. Thank you all so very much for listening to this awesome collaborative effort of four guys who just want to talk about the things they love, movies and physical media. Be sure to join us next week and every single week on Blues Day Tuesday.